Hey y'all, Carolina Tony here. Today the road brings us to a ghost town near Flagstaff, Arizona. Back in the late 1800s, this was known as Indian Death Cave. In the 20s, it became known as Two Guns Zoo, and there's a lot of history here, and I'm going to share some of that with you, as well as take a look around at this creepy ghost town, and we'll get started right after this station identification. I'm not sure, but I believe we're probably riding on old Route 66. Probably before it became Route 66. There's where the sign was. Well, this is a legend, and as legends go, there's a little truth and a lot of fiction. And there are all types of stories connected with this particular legend, but I will share this particular one with you. It all started back around 1878, and the story goes that some Apaches entered the Navajo camps. Now, I learned when I was out west that Navajo is a Spanish word for the Diné tribe. So Navajo, they are the Diné. Anyway, the Apaches entered two Diné camps and killed everyone except 3 girls whom they kidnapped. Other Diné warriors, hearing of this action, they decided that they would track the Apache down and seek revenge and perhaps get the girls back. Well, they were getting close, but all of a sudden they disappeared. And they were all out in the desert looking, and standing on rocky terrain, they heard voices. Realizing that the voices was coming from under them. Apparently what had happened is the Apache had rode down in the bottom of Canyon Diablo, and from a distance you couldn't see the canyon, and they rode down in the bottom of the canyon and went in the cave to try to hide from the Navajo. Well, they got off their horses and they decided what they would do is pile some sagebrush up at the entrance of the cave, and the cave is fairly narrow. And of course, smoke entered the cave, and 2 Apache came running out, and of course they were shot really quick. Well, they found out eventually that the girls had been killed, so they decided that they would go ahead and seek revenge on the Apache, so they piled more sagebrush up at the cave and set it on fire and killed over 42 Apache. Over the years, there has been all kind of paranormal investigations, and other YouTube creators have come here to research and go down into caves. The bridge that used to be there is gone, and frankly, this is the time of year, well, any time of year is time for rattlesnakes out here, so I am not going to chance it. This area later became known as Two Guns, Arizona. It is right on Route 66, right next to Interstate 40, not far from Flagstaff, right outside of Winslow, Arizona. Now, this story is all about a mysterious murder, or was it? Around 1920, Earl and Louise Cundiff purchased about 320 acres of land, and they constructed a large stone building on the side of the canyon that also served as a trading post. And by 1922, the Cundiffs also had a restaurant and gasoline pumps. Then in 1925, a man by the name of Henry Two Gun Miller, he claimed to be a full-blooded Apache. He leased some land from the Cundiffs, And he was kind of a weird type fella. He lived in caves, and they called him a hermit. Old Two Gun Miller also had a name that he gave himself. He called himself Chief Crazy Thunder, and he wore long hair braided. He and his wife, with the help of the Hopi Indians, began to build pens for a zoo to house mountain lions and other animals of the desert. They built all types of long structures, and it served as an entrance to the zoo and living quarters. And he also sold what he said was the skeletal remains of the Apache who had been killed years earlier to tourists. Afterward, the town became known as Two Guns. Well, the next year, the road in front became known as Route 66. On March the 3rd, 1926, Miller got into a dispute with Earl Cundiff over the lease, and then he shot and killed Cundiff. Amazingly,
wow.
The fact that he killed Cundiff was unarmed. Miller was acquitted of the murder. Afterward, he returned to Two Guns and was mauled by two mountain lions, bitten by a poisonous Gila monster, and he became ill. He left Two Guns with a considerable amount of silver and turquoise jewelry and merchandise. And then in the fall of 1929, Miller's store was burned, and Miss Cundiff put a large frame building, which she continued to operate as a trading post and a tourist stop. However, Miller decided he'd come back and said the land was rightly his, which resulted in a bunch of court actions, and it cost her $15,000 before she finally cleared the title. And then in 1934, she opened a Texaco service station along with the new Route 66. After Interstate I-40 bypassed Two Guns, which is rock throwing distance from it, just like a lot of other of Route 66 stops, it died a quick death. And it's pretty much as we see it today, a ghost town with lots of history, lots of legends, fact, and fiction.
I know what this is. Mountain lions. And look by design and see those steps went around the turret to get up and have a look out. That was the main entrance to the Two Guns Zoo, and right here and over here, those kind of look like they're the same. They look like maybe they were little low towers. And of course, right over there is the bathroom. Of course, in those days, there wasn't running water and modern facilities, so let's just call it what it is. It was our house. This was the gas station at the Two Gun off-ramp off of I-40. Of course, it's been graffitiized, lots of them. And also, this was the entrance, or not far from the Two Gun Zoo. This was the site of the Two Guns campground. Right on this hill, there's a little trading post that's been burned down. Overlooking the zoo that way and the Indian Death Cave. And here is the pool, or what's left of it. People have come and definitely made their mark. Yeah. That's back when they really built pools. It's colorful if nothing else. Here are the campsites, or what's left of them. You see they have taken these car rims and made little grills out of them. And they're all down through here. Well, that is going to be a wrap for our trip to the Indian Death Cave and the old Two Guns Zoo. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give us a big old thumbs up. Be sure to share with your family and friends. But until next time, y'all have a good day.